Hi, everyone at Popcorn Frights. My name is Ariel Fisher. I am the managing editor of Fangoria magazine and a news editor at slashfilm.com. And I am here, obviously, after Dawn Breaks Behind the Eyes, with Kevin Kopacka, one of the writers and the director of the film. And wow, that movie is absolutely stunning and completely incredible. You're very good with the description in that you don't give away too much, and then it kind of pulls a bit of a one cut of the dead on you and switches the tone. It's got that like one cut of the dead means from dusk till dawn kind of tone switch in the middle. What was it? How did this story come to you and Lily when you were writing it?
Mhm. Yeah, firstly, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, I don't know, it was kind of a strange, long process, the way the story developed, because initially the idea was just to have a film about a couple that spent eternity in a castle, which was supposed to be the ghost couple you see. And then I kind of drifted away and I was thinking, okay, what happens if this ghost couple is in the castle and suddenly a different couple appears, which is basically the couple the movie starts with. And then it kind of all goes into different directions. So there was kind of this process that started with this idea of an atmosphere, and then I don't know. I think the sooner we got to shooting it, then of course the other element, the film crew, it kind of happened as well.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually we shot it in 2018, which was before One
Oh,
Cut of the
wow.
Dead came out. So when I saw it, I was like, ah, damn it! But you know, it's not the first movie to do this type of trope, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot is, of course, influenced by the fact that, as you mentioned, Lily, she's the co-producer and co-author of the film, and she's also my girlfriend. So, of course, that very much influenced the story, way the story developed. Yeah.
So I guess perhaps an appropriate, perhaps an inappropriate follow up question is any of this autobiographical?
No, actually not. This was kind of, I don't know, this was just an idea where I thought, okay, imagine like worst case, if this would have happened, how this film shoot would kind of change in this direction. But
Mhm.
luckily, no, it's not based on any real facts. Yeah.
Excellent. That is very good to know. And what was it, especially as a couple, what was it like writing this kind of a story that's so rooted in, the pain and hardship that comes with relationships mixed with a desire for independence? Like, how was that process of creating for you two?
um, it's hard to say. I think it was really good to kind of work together on it. So it started that I kind of did a basic draft of the script, and then we discussed it. And the initial film was actually quite different than like the film we even shot. The script and the film we shot was very different to how it ended up being in a kind of ironic way, because the first edit of the film was actually twice as long as the one you just saw. It was kind of 2 hours and 20 minutes long, so quite
Wow.
long. And ironically, it was kind of about this idea of two competing stories that kind of compete for this, for which one will actually be able to get shot. So there was the one idea of the ghost couple and the other, the Margot Dieter one, which we saw. And so in the end, it was also in the film this kind of rivalry between the two interpretations, the director and Eva and the producer, they have of their own relationship. So, and ironically, so in the film, it was basically that Eva, the character, she wanted to shoot this ghost story, and Gregor, the director, he wanted to shoot this S&M Dieter Margot kind of more exploitative story. And so this was kind of the idea of the story, that it's kind of this competition between these two stories. And when we were writing it, it was kind of similar in the sense that Lily had a much bigger connection to the ghost story, and I had probably a better connection to the other story. And ironically, after many test screenings, we kind of had to actually cut this story in real time. So it was kind of like a meta thing, I guess.
Mhm. I mean, it's beautifully paced. For a film that's so short, it breathes. Like it never feels longer than it is. It never feels longer than it should feel. It's beautifully edited.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
so you'd mentioned that it was part of it was started based on kind of an aesthetic, sort of a feel. I mean, I get a lot of gothic romance from this. So what were some of the aesthetics that you brought into this film?
Mhm. I think, yeah, I love gothic horror especially, or generally I love really atmospheric horror, which can be found a lot in European horror films from that time, like 60s, 70s. And yeah, I think that that atmosphere was kind of just this idea, you know, the classic Gothic horror image of the woman in the nightgown with the candelabra walking around. So I just kind of liked playing with this and putting it into a different context. And so there were a lot of films, obviously, that kind of inspired the look. I think the one that, for the initial story, I really had a lot of inspiration from The Iron Rose from Jean Rollin. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's basically also about a couple who wander through a graveyard the entire night, and they constantly bickering, and then it kind of takes a more extreme toll on the relationship that they have. So it's a bit of a similar ending, I could say, but like not intentionally, but it's kind of goes into a similar direction, that only
Mhm.
one of them goes out at the end at the cemetery. Mhm.
I've heard of it. I have not seen it yet, but now I'm even more compelled to seek it out and see if I can find it. What were some of the other influences on the film, either aesthetically or in terms of story? Like it has such a unique feel, and you were really able to capture that celluloid tone, especially for the beginning, which is really hard to do. I guess I'm mixing my questions. I'm sorry. Was the so with the celluloid look, because that is fascinating to me. Was that I'm assuming that was all digital?
Unfortunately, yes,
Yeah.
we originally planned on shooting it on film, but it was a bit too expensive because I financed the whole film myself, so we had some restraints. And then it just kind of came in post where I said, okay, I really still like the idea of having this mixture of analog and digital. So I just kind of played around with different 35 millimeter filters and grain and stuff like that. But
And
yeah,
it
it would have
looks
been great to actually do it on film, but yeah, next time
mhm.
maybe.
Oh yeah, no, film is exceptionally expensive. That was the only reason I made the assumption that it was digital, was because it
Yeah,
looked exceptional. And it's hard replicating that look digitally, and you did it beautifully.
well, thank you.
What were some of the other films that you would point to as, or even pieces of literary fiction, anything like that, that were influential on shaping your respective and collective image of the film and how you wanted it to be brought to life?
I mean, of course, in terms of like classic Gothic horror, it was a lot of Mario Bava films that I really liked, like Black Sabbath, of course, and The Whip and the Body, which is like there's like a direct reference, of course, in the name of the couple. They're called Menliv, which is based on that. And I don't know, at the time, I also really enjoyed a lot of Fassbinder movies, which are not horror in particular, but I kind of like this idea because in like German films, they often are kind of ashamed to be German in a way. They don't celebrate a certain
Mm,
Germanness, I would say. And I especially like this era in the 70s, we had Fassbinder and Volker Schlöndorff and a few, Werner Herzog, a few interesting German directors. And Fassbinder you usually associate with this kitchen sink social dramas, like really sad and I don't know, dark dramas. But he actually had a really weird sense of humor, like really strange. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's just kind of where there's a conversation in a shop, and then the guy leaves, and the camera points at the customer, and then the customer, for some reason, it's just does something strange. It doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the scenes, but it's just kind of this weird nuance. So that I quite liked, especially in there's one film called Chinese Roulette from Fassbinder, which is also set in a sort of mansion, and also it's about two couples that both, unbeknownst to each other, invite their affair to come visit the castle, and then it's kind of the four of them at the same time. So it's a kind of awkward film. And the other one is called Satan's Brew, which also is a very, I think it's said to be like the only comedy he ever did, but it's a very extremely morbid comedy. It's very dark and it's very disturbing also. But this was also a big inspiration, I guess, in just the weird sense of humor the film has.
mm. Well, I think that's the one of the things that's the most compelling about it, is because we've seen a lot of horror films that have been trying to kind of replicate those, like that specific aesthetic, and Mario Bava and kind of the more European centric aesthetic. And sometimes it comes off exceptionally forced, but this has an effortlessness to it. And would you attribute that, like, would you or would Lily attribute that to the fact that you are Europeans making this film?
Um, Probably it could be that it's that it's kind of a subconscious thing or like a cultural thing. And I don't know, it just kind of came easy in the process. I didn't try to. I mean, of course, in a sense, I tried to emulate it, but it not in a sense that I tried to do it by the numbers. It just kind of was
Yeah.
the inspiration. Then I just did it, and it happened to have a European feel to it. So it might have to do that. Yeah, we're European as well.
Yeah. The European aesthetic might be because you are Europeans making a movie. That might do it. Yeah. Um, did it ever, were you ever concerned with whether or not you should bring more of a North American aesthetic to things in order to make it palatable in North America? Or were you as confident as you should be that this is exceptional enough to stand on its own?
I don't know. In a way, I didn't want to do a film that's panders to a German audience because German audiences can be a bit fickle. That they hate German movies in general. That's kind of the consensus for some
That's
reason,
interesting.
and that's why I think, in the terms of just the title alone, that it's in English and the credits and everything is in English. I kind of did that with all of the films I did before. That I kind of don't want to say it's a German film that's supposed to be for Germans, so it kind of has more of an international flair to it. But of course, it's the language is German. But
Mhm.
yeah, I try to make it appear international in that sense.
And I guess in more kind of ephemeral questioning, what what does the film mean to you? What is it trying to say? What is it trying to symbolize?
Mhm. I think for me, for like my personal connection, when I was writing or when we were writing it, Lydia and I, this was 3 years ago. I just turned 30, and I had been with Lily for 2 years at the time. We're now together for more than 5 years, but I think it was kind of this idea of, okay, now at this age, the relationship you have, it could be, the permanent relationship you have, and it's a really nice feeling, but it's also can be a bit frightening in a sense.
Hmm.
Just that it's kind of this, like a fact suddenly. And I think this kind of shapes a bit of the idea, this spending eternity with someone. You have to choose wisely who you want to spend that time with, I guess. And in a general sense, I think the idea is basically just to take responsibility for your own life, that you yourself are the only one, as the film says, who can punish yourself. It's only the way you react to things and the way you choose to do things, in a sense that you're trapped in a relationship. If you don't want it, it's always your choice to leave it.
Hmm. You're the only person who can punish yourself is you. Yeah.
Kind of in this sense. I mean, this is a bit. The statement can be interpreted differently when people say, "Oh, when all these bad things happened to me, I didn't want this. Of course, I didn't want to be punished." But this is more in a
No, of
sense,
course.
yeah. But this is just in the sense of how you react to things, and that you have the every chance to shape your life in the way you want to.
Hmm. Would you consider it more empowering or more of a cautionary tale?
I think it's empowering the way I intend it, or the way we intended it to be, at least.
Hmm. I'm inclined to agree, particularly by the end. Um, uh,
I was quick, if I could ask one question to you,
yeah.
for instance, what was your interpretation of the relationship with, like, from Eva and Gregor, the director? How did he appear to you? Was it always, did he appear as a creep the whole time, or was it kind of the moments where you thought, okay, it makes sense why the two are together? He, like, in his charming moments. Because I had some people, it's interesting the reactions I get. Like, one person said the final scene in the bedroom during daylight, that they said, like, on this scene it's so, like, he comes off as so charming and she's kind of annoying, and so it kind of switched for them, which I couldn't understand. In that sense, it's, for me, it's quite obvious that he's, these manipulation techniques he uses, basically.
Hmm. No, my takeaway from it, thank you for asking me a question and flipping the tables. This is so unusual. I love it. Um, I, I mean, I loved their dynamic immediately, but I also related to their dynamic because I've been in that relationship. I
Mhm.
have been her in that position. And I, in more ways than one. And I didn't think she was annoying at all. I would never have written her off as like, oh, well, he's just trying to have fun and she's annoying. No, no, no. He's irresponsible and he's kind of pulling a bit of a Bogdanovich and taking a lot of credit for her ideas and trying to pass things off that are less than. And well, no, because she's brave for taking him back. Or are you just coasting on, your ability to manipulate people to accept you for your shortcomings without changing them? Let's weigh that out. So it was, I mean, even in the first section, when it's the film and it plays out into, that exceptional grand finale of his dick being ripped off. And um like that was all exquisitely done, and even that I was like, oh, this is amazing, this is such a lovely callback and like so nostalgic. And then it switches and it flips, and as it became clearer how we got here and who they actually were, it was, I think I just kept looking at my screen going, this is brilliant, this is exceptional, I love this. And thank you for not choosing his ending, where she just accepts him back and forgives him. Because frankly, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear too much more, but F that, we'll say, just to be polite, because I'm usually, I swear like a sailor. So, um, but no, those were some of my favorite parts. And that's like most of the movie. So I don't know what that says.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much.
Are you proud of this?
You mean the film in general or this aspect?
No, the film in general, as a product in all of its little microcosms, as an entity.
Yes, I'm very proud. Actually, just yesterday I couldn't sleep because I have insomnia, so I don't know, I didn't know what to do, and then I just watched the film on my phone just to try to get to sleep. But I watched it.
I'm eager to rewatch it myself, honestly. Like I,
Oh,
I finished it not that long ago, maybe an hour or two ago, and I'm already like, oh, I want to do that again.
oh, that's nice. Yeah, for me, it's actually the same without sounding, that as like self-love, but I just enjoy watching it, which I'm quite happy about, which isn't the case for most of my films. So,
Mhm.
so it was good. It was a really long process. It was like 3 years, and I kind of did the post-production myself. So I did all the editing and color grading, and so it was a really long process where I just did many um, edits, and then we had test screenings and just kind of get information how people perceive all the things. And then I took a break for 4 months and I sat back down with fresh eyes. So it was a really long process. And it was always moments where I thought like, I like it, but something's missing. I'm not quite happy. And now when I watch it, I don't know, I can't think of any moment where I'm like, I wish this would have been different. So that's a good sign, I guess.
It's a very good sign. That is definitely the sign that you've done it right. Um, so I guess, because I think we're just about out of time, what as a wrap up, sort of, how does it feel now with a project that you started so long, like, and I say so long ago, but it's not like it's been a decade, but at the same time it probably feels like another lifetime with the way the last year and a half has gone. How does it feel now to be able to share this with people and show it to the world?
It's a bit surreal, I guess, because it's been kind of I don't know how you say it. It's just like in this little closet the whole time. Nobody sees it, and now it's kind of out in the world, and people are going to review it now, and people at Popcorn Frights have seen it now. So I'm just curious to basically hear what people think, because I don't know. I think a film like this could go in all directions. That people say I don't know, they were not engaged. It was a bit too artsy, or they didn't understand it. I don't know. It could be
Hmm.
go into all directions, or it could be like thankfully, like in your case, that you kind of got a lot of it and you appreciated story and things like that. So I don't know. I'm just really excited and curious what's going to happen in the next weeks and months.
Good. You should be. You deserve to be excited after having to wait so long to be able to share it. And now you can relish in the moment. Enjoy it because you deserve it, both of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me for this and letting me do this Q&A with you. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone at Popcorn Frights. And I hope you enjoyed the film as much as I did, because you should. And enjoy the rest of the festival.